Your struggle does not make you valuable. Your proof does. The world does not pay men for suffering. It pays men who turn suffering into leverage. Andrew Carnegie did not escape poverty because the world felt sorry for him. He was born in Scotland, came to America as a poor young immigrant, worked early jobs including factory work and telegraphy, and eventually became central to the rise of the American steel industry. He did not begin with status. He did not begin with wealth. He began close to pressure, then moved closer to information, railroads, capital, industry, and ownership. That was the difference. He did not worship his poverty. He used it as pressure to move toward leverage. Sara Blakely started Spanx with $5,000 in savings. She did not have a fashion empire behind her. She did not rely on traditional outside investment early on. She saw a painful, specific market problem and built around it until demand became proof. Her first asset was not money, it was insight. She saw what others ignored, and she turned that insight into something the market could measure. This is the truth most broke men hate because it removes their favorite comfort. I had it hard. I had no support. Nobody believed in me. I started with nothing. Good. But suffering is not a business model. Pain is not proof. Being ignored is not evidence that you are valuable. It is only evidence that the world has not yet been forced to measure you. And this is where most men lose the game before it even begins. They believe their struggle secretly makes them superior. They think the world should eventually notice how much they endured, how much they sacrificed, how much they carried in silence. But the world does not reward silent suffering. The world rewards converted suffering. Poverty must become pressure. Pressure must become discipline. Discipline must become skill. Skill must become proof. Proof must become leverage. Leverage must become ownership. Ownership must become freedom. Miss one conversion and the chain breaks. That is why two men can start with nothing and end in completely different places. One man turns nothing into hunger. The other turns nothing into an identity. One man studies the game beneath money. The other keeps repeating his wounds until his wounds become his personality. One man builds evidence. The other builds explanations. Being broke is not the shame. Staying strategically blind is. Most men think wealth begins with money. It does not. Money is not the first asset. Proof is. Leverage is. Timing is. Self-command is. Money comes later as a consequence of becoming useful in a way the world can measure. A man can work hard for 20 years and still remain poor if his work creates no leverage. A man can suffer deeply and still remain invisible if his suffering produces no proof. A man can have ambition burning inside him and still be ignored if the world cannot see, test, buy, repeat, or trust what he creates. So the real question is not, how do I become wealthy from nothing? The deeper question is, why do some men turn nothing into an empire, while other men turn nothing into an excuse? The answer is colder than motivation. Wealth does not begin when you feel ready. Wealth begins when your pain becomes useful to someone besides you. That is why Carnegie matters. He did not stay trapped at the lowest layer of labor and romanticize exhaustion. He moved toward systems where information moved faster, capital gathered, infrastructure expanded, and ownership mattered. Telegraphy gave proximity to information. Railroads gave proximity to scale. Steel gave proximity to industry. Investment gave proximity to ownership. Do not just work hard, work close to leverage. A man working far from leverage can exhaust himself and still stay replaceable. A man working close to leverage begins to see where money actually moves, who controls opportunity, what problems are expensive, which skills compound, and which relationships open gates. This is the first brutal separation between the poor man and the strategic man. The poor man asks, How can I work more? The strategic man asks, where does one move create more than one result? That question changes everything. If you are serious about becoming more than another man who consumes powerful ideas but never turns them into power, join the Patreon. You are already watching, you are already learning. But if you keep collecting ideas without forcing them into action, you will become a library of unused potential. Inside Patreon, you get deeper, unfiltered breakdowns designed for men who are done being entertained and are ready to train their perception. If you continue only watching from the outside, you may feel sharper while remaining in the same position. The decision is yours. Now understand Law 1. Poor men confuse labor with leverage. Labor asks, how many hours can I sell? Leverage asks, how many results can I create from the same hour? There is nothing shameful about labor. Labor keeps you alive. Labor pays rent. Labor feeds families. Labor builds discipline. But labor alone does not change your class. Labor alone keeps you close to exhaustion because the moment you stop moving, the money stops moving with you. If your income dies the second your body stops, you do not own wealth. You own rented survival. This is why hard-working men can still lose. Not because they are lazy, not because they lack character, not because they lack pain. They lose because their work does not survive them. A man can carry boxes, answer emails, take extra shifts, work overtime, solve emergencies, and still remain trapped because every dollar depends on his constant presence. He is not building a machine. He is being used as the machine. Leverage begins when your effort starts producing assets. A skill that gets sharper over time. A product that can be sold again. A reputation that travels before you enter the room. A portfolio that proves your ability without begging. An audience that listens before you explain. A system that reduces repeated labor. A relationship network that places you near opportunity. A piece of intellectual property that can keep working after you stop. A company, an equity position, a distribution channel, a body of work, a coded tool, a repeatable process. This is where the unsupported man must become honest. If every week only gives you payment but no proof, you are surviving. If every month passes and your skill is not sharper, your reputation is not stronger, your assets are not larger, and your leverage is not deeper, then time is passing, but nothing is compounding except regret. The world is full of tired men who call exhaustion sacrifice. But sacrifice without strategy is just slow decay with noble language. Law 2, wealth, starts when your output survives without your constant presence. This is the first crack in the prison. When your content keeps educating people after you publish it, something survives you. When your product keeps delivering after you build it, something survives you. When your reputation enters rooms before you arrive, something survives you. When your portfolio sells your competence before your mouth opens, something survives you. When your system performs without your constant emotional energy, something survives you. That is when income starts becoming power. Most men never reach this point because they are addicted to immediate relief. They take the fastest payment, not the strongest position. They chase the next small comfort instead of building the next durable asset. They confuse cash in hand with progress. Sometimes survival forces that choice, but when survival becomes your identity, you spend your life reacting to pressure instead of designing your escape. This is the hidden danger of being unsupported. Nobody is coming to create space for your future. Nobody is coming to protect your focus. Nobody is coming to explain leverage to you while you are tired, angry, and underpaid. So you must build under pressure. You must create proof while still carrying weight. You must learn while others sleep. You must become dangerous quietly before the world knows what you are becoming. Because if you wait until life becomes easy to build leverage, you will wait forever. The unsupported man must survive, yes, but he must also build. Every week must produce evidence. Every month must produce stronger skill. Every year must produce more leverage. Otherwise, you are not building wealth. You are decorating survival with ambition. And this leads to the next uncomfortable truth. If proof is the first public form of power, then hidden skill is not enough. Hidden talent is cheap. Hidden ambition is cheap. Hidden potential is the cheapest thing in the world, because every broke man believes he has it. The market does not care about your potential. The market asks colder questions. Can you solve this? Can you sell this? Can you reduce pain? Can you save time? Can you increase profit? Can you create trust? Can you attract attention? Can you produce results repeatedly? Until the answer becomes visible, you are only a possibility. And possibility has no negotiating power. That is why being discovered is not a strategy. Being discovered is what passive men call hope. A man waiting to be discovered is still asking for permission. He wants the world to notice what he has not made undeniable. He wants someone else to take the risk of believing in him before he has taken the risk of proving himself. But power does not move toward men who wait. Power moves toward men who create evidence. Law 3, your environment will call your ambition unrealistic before it becomes undeniable. Understand this early. People do not fear your failure as much as they fear your transformation. Failure keeps the hierarchy stable. Failure allows people to explain you. Failure lets them say, "See, I told you." Failure makes your old identity easy to manage. But transformation threatens the map they use to justify their own limits. When you are broke, people can categorize you. When you are struggling, people can advise you. When you are dependent, people can feel useful above you. But when you begin to build proof, they lose control over the story. This is why your ambition will often be attacked before your results arrive. They will call it unrealistic. They will call it risky. They will call it too much. They will tell you to be stable, humble, careful, reasonable. Sometimes this advice is care, but often it is fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Be realistic. Do not risk too much. Just get a stable job. Money is not everything. You are thinking too big. Listen carefully. Not every cautious voice is your enemy, but every voice must be judged by its origin. If someone has never built freedom, do not let him define the price of freedom. If someone has never built wealth, do not let him define what wealth requires. If someone is addicted to safety, do not let him judge your calculated risk. Most advice from trapped people is not wisdom. It is fear with respectable language. This does not mean you become cruel. Cruelty is undisciplined. Cruelty harms because it lacks command. Ruthlessness is different. Ruthlessness protects direction. Ruthlessness decides which voices deserve access to your mind. A man who cannot protect his attention cannot protect his future. And that is why you must stop explaining early ambition to people who only respect late results. Explaining too soon leaks power. You are giving unfinished plans to people who have no incentive to protect them. You are asking for approval from people who may feel safer when you stay familiar. You are exposing your fragile early vision to those who only understand visible success. Build first, speak later. Let proof do what explanation cannot. This is one of the coldest laws of status. People who doubt the invisible beginning often worship the visible result. They mock the foundation, then respect the building. They question the seed, then admire the harvest. They dismiss the process, then ask for the secret. Do not hate them for this. Study them. Human beings respect force, evidence, and consequence. They may praise virtue, but they respond to power. And in wealth, proof is the first public form of power. Not your intentions, not your pain, not your dreams. Proof. The client who paid, the product that sold, the audience that listened, the result that repeated, the system that worked, the asset that compounded, the reputation that traveled. That is how the invisible man becomes visible. Not by begging for recognition, by building evidence that makes dismissal expensive. But there is another danger. Once proof begins to work, once money begins to appear, once people begin to notice, the old wounds inside an unsupported man become hungry. And if he is not careful, the first money he earns will not make him free. It will make him perform. Law 4. Never let early money make you stupid. This law destroys more men than poverty. Poverty is pressure, but early money is temptation. The first time money appears, the unsupported man often wants revenge. Not strategic revenge, emotional revenge. He wants to show the family, show the friends, show the exes, show the people who laughed, show the people who ignored him when he was invisible. So he buys symbols before he buys control. He inflates his lifestyle. He takes reckless risks. He confuses cash flow with wealth. He confuses attention with respect. He confuses being seen with being free. That is how men escape poverty and still remain slaves. New money without discipline becomes performance, and performance is expensive. The purpose of early money is not to impress people who doubted you. The purpose of early money is to buy more control. Control over your time, control over your attention, control over your skill, control over your environment, control over your opportunities, control over your risk, control over your next move. If money enters your hand and immediately exits to feed your ego, you are not building wealth. You are renting applause. And applause is one of the most dangerous addictions for a man who was ignored too long. This is why self-command matters more than motivation. Motivation gets you moving when the emotion is high. Self-command keeps you aligned when the emotion changes. Motivation wants the feeling of progress. Self-command wants the structure of progress. Motivation says, I am inspired. Self-command says, I am building whether anyone claps or not. A man without self-command will turn every victory into a leak. He earns more and spends more. He gets attention and becomes addicted to it. He gets opportunity and becomes arrogant. He gets a little status and stops learning. He gets early proof and mistakes it for final power. That man does not become wealthy. He becomes louder. And the world is full of loud men who are still controlled. Controlled by lifestyle, controlled by image, controlled by old pain, controlled by the need to prove something to people who no longer matter. If you are serious about this path, join the Patreon. This is not for men who want comfortable inspiration. This is for men who want sharper perception, stronger discipline, and deeper strategy. You may watch many videos and feel the fire for a few hours, but if you keep returning to the same habits, the same environment, and the same weak decisions, nothing has changed except your mood. Inside Patreon, the work goes deeper, with exclusive, unfiltered content for men who are ready to stop consuming power and start practicing it. If you continue without structure, you will keep mistaking intensity for transformation. The decision is yours. Now understand the final conversion. The old identity must die. The man who says, I suffered, so the world owes me, must die. The man who says, nobody supported me, so I cannot start, must die. The man who says, I am talented, so someone should notice, must die. The man who mistakes pain for proof must die, because that man is not building wealth. He is building a case for pity, and pity has no power. The new identity is colder. I do not need my struggle respected, I need my output measured. I do not need to be discovered. I need to become visible through proof. I do not need to work harder forever. I need to build leverage. I do not need early money to make me look powerful. I need it to make me harder to control. That is the shift. From victim to strategist, from laborer to builder, from hidden potential to visible proof, from emotional hunger to economic power, from wanting to be understood to becoming undeniable. This is the Machiavellian truth. The world responds to power before it responds to virtue. And in wealth, proof is the first public form of power. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Understand how cold that sentence is. The world does not experience your private suffering. It sees your public evidence. It does not enter your lonely nights, your silent pressure, your buried anger, your private dreams. It sees what your discipline has made visible. So stop expecting people to understand what they cannot measure. Make the invisible visible. Turn pain into discipline. Turn discipline into skill. Turn skill into proof. Turn proof into leverage. Turn leverage into ownership. Turn ownership into freedom. The first move is not to chase money. It is to choose the pain you will become useful against. Find a painful problem. Study the people who pay to remove it. Build the skill that solves it. Create proof before anyone gives you permission. Turn proof into leverage. Turn leverage into ownership. Turn ownership into freedom. That is the path. Not fantasy, not rescue, not rescue, not rescue, not discovery, not motivation. Conversion. The world will not reward you for having no support. It will not reward you for being misunderstood. It will not reward you for surviving. It will only reward what you convert. So convert everything. Convert loneliness into focus. Convert doubt into discipline. Convert poverty into hunger. Convert humiliation into silence. Convert silence into skill. Convert skill into proof. Convert proof into leverage. And build something that makes your past irrelevant. Do not ask the world to respect your struggle. Build something it cannot ignore. Subscribe to Depths of Psyche.